Afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us, everyone. I'm Joey Mack, the Executive Director here at Chicago Blend, and I'm so delighted to welcome you to our very first Pitch Day event, which is part of our Chicago Venture Fellows program. We launched this program earlier this year alongside Get Cities, World Business Chicago, and Team Working by TechNexus, and we did so with one singular goal in mind: get more underrepresented professionals working in venture. So over the past 4 months, our summer fellows have gotten a crash course in venture finance. They've received mentorship and professional development from some of the city's top VCs and tech CEOs, and they've been talking to lots and lots of founders, scouting potential deal flow, which they'll be pitching to all of you in just a moment. In addition to our program partners, I do also want to thank and acknowledge our foundational sponsors, CDW and Origin Ventures, as well as all of our sponsors whose generous support makes our work at Chicago Blend possible. Finally, a big heartfelt thanks goes out to all of you in the venture community, in the startup community, in the broader tech ecosystem. We have been absolutely blown away by the level of support that you've all provided to us and the amount of time and energy that you've invested into our fellows. I especially want to acknowledge our summer 2022 mentors who went the extra mile in supporting our fellows along this journey. So with that, I now have the distinct privilege of passing things over to our incredible program manager, Salvador Dueñas. I think most of you on this call know Sal, but if you don't, I hope that you get to know him very soon. He joined our team earlier this year. He is the heart and soul of the Chicago Venture Fellows program, and he's going to be taking us through the rest of this hour. So with that, Sal, I'll kick it over to you. Thanks.
Awesome. Super excited to get started. One of the coolest things about this experience has been the support from the community. So to our mentors, our speakers, people who have shown up to our events, people who have worked with our fellows, honestly, thank you so much. This event is special because now we get to provide value to all of you, our awesome community and investors here in Chicago. So hopefully this adds to your deal flow. Hopefully you find some interesting startups that you build relationships with. So I just want to go over our agenda for the day. These are not the only startups that our fellows have sourced. We've been working with them through the summer. They're all incredibly accomplished, really talented individuals. They've been an absolute joy to work with this summer. But you're going to hear one startup from each of them. You'll hear 8 pitches. But like I said, these are not the only startups that they have talked to or worked with throughout the program. If you're interested in meeting some more founders, I definitely recommend you get in touch with these fellows to learn more about the different startups they've connected with. So if you have any questions, they will be putting in their contact info. If you want to continue the conversation, their contact info will be shared after each of the pitches, as well as at the end of the event with an overview of each of the companies that they presented. We didn't want to send it now because we want the attention to kind of be on the fellows right now for this event, but we'll send pitch decks and things like that, round sizes at the end of the call. There will be 6 minutes for each pitch and Q&A section. So the fellows are going to manage their own time there between balancing time for the pitch and time for the Q&A. We don't have time for every single question. So what we're going to do is you're going to use the raise hand feature on Zoom to get into the queue. And we'll just go down those questions one by one until the timer's up at 6 minutes. But if you have additional questions, of course, reach out to the fellows, keep the conversation going via the chat, and connect offline for any of that stuff. The other thing I'll say is if your specific firm isn't interested in investing in some of these startups, but you maybe know somebody who might be a good fit, please make introductions for these fellows as well. This is all in support of the innovation economy here in Chicago and the venture system and startups here. So if you can't directly support or invest in some of these startups, but you know somebody who will, that is great as another great outcome. So with that, I'm excited to now pass it over to our fellows to share their pitches. First up, we have Veronica Aguilar, who is actually calling in from the south of France, which is very exciting. So we're really excited that she was able to join us here. So with that, I will start our timer and we will get going. Veronica, how are we feeling?
Great. Thanks, Al. Hi.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Veronica Aguilar, and I'll be pitching TackleAI today. TackleAI is a Chicago-based AI startup that transforms the way companies manage and utilize unstructured data through intelligent automation. 85% of the world's documents are unstructured, and currently industries outsource the manual processing of highly sensitive data. This is difficult, expensive, and time-consuming, and considering high human error rate, poor data is a major issue for companies. IBM has estimated that bad data costs the US economy around $3.1 trillion each year, while impacting the bottom line of 88% of American companies, with the average company losing around 12% of its total revenue. The solution TackleAI has built is an AI that is capable of processing documents without having ever seen them before. They do this through a combination of proprietary neural networks, machine learning, and computer vision to automatically discover unstructured data on scans, emails, PDFs, images, PowerPoints, and the like. The data can be filled, extracted, redacted, and returned to the client in an immediately accessible format. This is an automated process that does not require human intervention and is faster, smarter, and more accurate at a fraction of the cost. In turn, they're really optimizing existing workflows for large organizations. All the tech is written in-house and processed on their own servers, which means they are a safer solution to manually processing and outsourcing sensitive documents. The intelligent document processing market is projected to reach $4.8 billion this year alone. Tackle is a B2B SaaS company with a per-page business model. The industries that they're currently in include health tech, fintech, legal tech, and gov tech. Currently, they have large clients that are electronic health record systems, e-discovery platforms, legal case management systems, and those platforms service dozens of hospital systems and law firms. A use case we can directly point to with Tackle is a current client of theirs that's a large e-discovery platform, gave both Tackle and their human team 75,000 pages to redact, specifically redacting protected health information and other sensitive information from emails, images, PDFs. It took the human team 4 weeks to process the 75,000 pages, and their accuracy rate was 84%, which is actually pretty high for humans. Normally, human accuracy is around 70% range. Tackle processed those same 75,000 pages in less than 1 hour with 99.2% accuracy and ultimately cost 70% less. This is all possible because the team at Tackle is actively building their tech in-house and locally. The team includes top engineers and programmers specializing in computer vision, machine learning, neural networks, and natural language processing. 28 of the 36 members at Tackle are on the development team. Their CEO and also recently CTO, Sergio Suarez Jr., is a Chicago native with a mathematics background. He's really built an environment at Tackle that encourages invention and innovative solutions to problems and encourages everyone to really think bigger. Their motto at Tackle is attempt the absurd, solve the impossible. In terms of traction, they're on track to make $4 million in revenue this year, and over the next 13 months, with a focus on redaction, are projected to process approximately 108 million pages, which is about $13 million in revenue. Raise details, they've raised to date $6 million, and they're currently raising $5.5 million in a post-seed round, and are looking to close that out fairly soon. They're looking to use that capital raise to invest in more servers so they can process more documents, expand on the development team, and build a front-end user interface. They're also looking to expand a sales team. To date, they really haven't had an actual sales team. And so right now, the growth strategy is really focused on targeting large EHR systems, e-discovery platforms, legal platforms, and delving into new verticals, including cybersecurity breach. This is a company and strategy that I feel so strongly about that I recently joined the team full-time to lead this specific work. In terms of competition, companies like Indigo Data in Boston, Ripcord in California, and Private AI in Toronto are their core competitors. However, Tackle's advantage is that they're attacking the problem fundamentally by creating in-house neural networks, building their own infrastructure, using machine learning to eliminate possibilities instead of trying to find answers. Competitors are not processing images. Most are processing structured text, chat logs, and more digital communications, whereas Tackle is processing scans, images, and PDFs. some things that are much more complicated. And because Tackle is not pre-zoning documents, they're not traditional OCR. Tackle is really the next generation of AI that uses logic and understands context. We're really excited about what we're building here in Chicago. And if you're excited about processing millions of pages and we're working in these really large industries, we'd love to connect with you. With that, thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Love it. We probably have enough time for like maybe one question. If somebody wants to jump in, get something clarified, or something expanded on, feel free.
This is also my email, but I'll drop it in the chat as well.
All right. So as mentioned, if you are interested in connecting and learning more about TackleAI, please reach out to Veronica. Veronica, thank you so much for this pitch. Sweet. All right, next up, we have Neethi, who we're excited to share more about Demi composting. So Neethi, I'll let you take it from here.
Sounds good. Thank you. Is the sound okay, Sal?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Neethi, and as Sal mentioned, today I'm going to be pitching Demi composting. It is time for a food waste revolution. Food waste in the US has a carbon footprint larger than the entire airline industry, with only 3% of our 25 million tons of food waste currently being composted. Current efforts and current solutions are intimidating, they're inconvenient, and ultimately they're expensive for end users. So in comes Demi. And Demi is a tech-enabled composting solution designed for the city dweller. Demi's technology has two main components to it. So there's an API-enabled smart locker and a mobile app that seamlessly integrates the act of composting as a day-to-day habit. Demi targets residential building customers to provide sleek composting bins at an affordable price point for residents. The bins themselves try to tackle some of the challenge that exists within composting today. And the way that they do that is that they are odor minimizing, they're space efficient, and they're fully compostable themselves. Residents can then easily drop off those full bins at a smart locker in their building. And Demi comes by once a week to scan, weigh, and pick up those full bins. As a tech-enabled service, Demi then leverages data to optimize route densities, offer transparency, incentivize activity, essentially through gamification, and better understands the end user's composting habits. As a B2B service, Demi's business model is a subscription-based model that charges apartment buildings $15 per user per month in the building for the service, similar to the business model of a valet trash service. And then the building can then decide, or the building manager rather, if they want to bake that into the cost of rent, offer it at a separate cost to residents, or position it as a building amenity, depending on how the building chooses to do that. Demi really offers a strong value proposition to the buildings and the end users as consumers are increasingly demanding sustainability features in their homes. Demi not only helps enhance the building's brand, raise rent revenues, and increase certification eligibility for green building certifications like LEED, but it also offers major cost savings from traditional waste, since over 25% of trash today is compostable, and that adds an added cost for the building. In a prospective customer survey, Demi actually found a really high willingness to pay among the target market of customers that lives in those high-rise buildings. Let's talk market opportunity. So Demi has a projected 175 billion total obtainable market with very compelling unit economics, anticipating a 48% profit margin and continued revenue growth over time. The LTV to CAC ratio has been calculated at 5.17, and we can talk about some of those details around the financial assumptions in a separate call offline when I put in my Calendly link over here in a bit. In terms of what's next, the founding team is a group of Booth MBA students that bring together a mix of strategy, tech, engineering, and sustainability experience. And they do plan to go full-time upon graduation in 1 year. They've developed partnerships with industry experts and have seen strong traction since their inception this year, including a pilot launch in Chicago, a wait list of 80+ buildings, and awards from several national organizations. Demi is seeking a total investment of $250K to support their go-to-market strategy, startup costs, and 12 months of runway for their rollout phase. And at this point, they've raised $55K of that $250K raise. And the founders themselves really are coming from a place of passion. One of the co-founders actually grew up in Canada and realized that in her high-rise building out of the States, it was so easy for her to compost. But when she came here, it was a whole endeavor. And that's where kind of the inception of this idea came to be. Living a sustainable life in a city shouldn't be this hard. So join the movement today by investing in an innovative solution with a growing market opportunity and huge impact potential. Because big impact starts with small choices, and a food-based future begins with Demi and with you. So to learn more, please book some time with me. And I think we have a little bit of time here for questions, but I'll put my Calendly in the chat. Thanks so much for your time.
Awesome. We do have about a minute and a half for a question. So if anyone wants to use the raise hand feature on Zoom, we'll manage it that way. But thank you, Neethi.
I'm going to post my Calendly link here. And feel free to reach out.
Sweet. All right. Well, if anyone has questions or things you're curious about, feel free to connect over the chat with Neethi and definitely book some time on her calendar. Neethi, thank you so much. Sweet. All right. Up next, we have Kevin Davenport. Excited to hear more about HopTo. Kevin, how are we feeling?
Fantastic.
Awesome. I'm going to start this timer really quick, and it looks like we will go to 3:26. So feel free to take it away.
Wonderful. All right. Thank you, everyone. My name is Kevin P. Davenport. I'm here to represent HopTo. That is spelled HOPTO, and that is gethopto.com. And, really, I want you guys to picture yourselves as the local retail shopper, right? You hear all these terms all the time, like shop local, shop local. SBA has been pushing it. Retail shoppers love it. But if we're being honest about the subject, it's really difficult and cumbersome to shop local nowadays, right? I myself, I'm a new father. So even right here, I love to support the Pilsen community right where I am. But in order for me to go, I have to put my son in the car seat. It's just a hassle to shop local. And if you look on the other side of the coin, right, the companies that are looking for this exposure, 6 out of 10 businesses don't have an online presence, much less the ability to deliver. So on two sides of the coin, you have two people that just can't connect because of this obstacle. And this is where HopTo bridges the gap and solves that pain point, right? So HopTo is an e-commerce marketplace that connects local shoppers with local retail shops. And HopTo's competitive edge is its revolutionary patent that pulls products directly from Google and Bing and produces it right there on the HopTo platform. So in order for you guys to think of yourselves as that local shopper, for us, I will go log on to the HopTo.com, and it's comparable to the user experience for Amazon, right? So I'm going to shop for my coat or the shoes that I'm looking for. It'll populate those responses. And then from that point, the one key difference is it is actually going to show me that that Google or Bing map and show me exactly where I'm purchasing those shoes from in Pilsen, so I can make sure that I'm not just supporting someone random, I'm supporting the local community that I want to support. And it gets delivered to my house the same way that, any of these other great delivery services would be. So, it's really picking up steam here. HopTo has been picked up by Startup Boost X, Black Tech Incubator, their 1871 Incubator, Hyper Accelerator Incubator, as well as the Microsoft for Startups, where they received 120,000 in services, as well as the Stripe for Business program, where they received 20,000 in processing fee services to be on that platform. So they have a really strong business model as well. Their business model is 4% on all products sold on the platform, as well as a $2.50 fee for all deliveries. And if we're looking at the market size here, you're looking at about 1.87 trillion in service addressable market and about 500 billion in service obtainable market. And HopTo is projecting a little over $8 million over the next 2 years. And they have a really strong team to get there. The founder, Dare Jala, he came to the US with $6 in his pocket And he's, he's worked for Accenture, CVS Corporate, and he's got the company to where you see it today with the patents and all the other, ground that he's covered. But he's also got some other supportive staff, including Adam Ayers, who was the CTO of HopTo, and he's more well known for his $100 million in sales in under 1 hour for Kanye West's Yeezy line. He also, for HopTo, they have Tariq Ayub, who's an advisor, who is the past CTO for retail for Microsoft. And he also has David Lederman, who is the advisor as well. And he's known for selling his 2 companies to Groupon and Eat Street. And so, HopTo is here today to really ask for $250,000 to help with their go-to-market strategy, help them ramp up with those sales, connect with, some of these Chamber of Commerce locally, and that's how they plan to expand, really hyper-targeting these areas. And, that's why, in my opinion, I feel like HopTo is the company to pay attention to based on their strong team, their patent, and their deep relationships already with Google and Bing. I think they're prime and ready for some venture capital. And again, they deserve your at least attention. So I'll stop here and pause for questions. Thank you.
Love it. Thank you, Kevin. Any guests on the call want to jump in, just feel free to unmute and ask if you want kind of clarify on anything or expand, feel free to jump in.
All right, same thing, I guess as everyone else, I will go ahead and put my contact information and Callie into the chat, and I appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Awesome, Kevin. Thank you so much. All right, up next we have Tazim. Tazim, thank you so much for stopping by. How are we feeling?
Feeling good. Hi, everyone. So I'm Tazim, and I just want to give you a little background first. So in addition to being a venture fellow, I'm actually a serial entrepreneur. I'm a third-year med student at Northwestern, so I actively deliver patient care. And I've been a clinical researcher for over 10 years. So I blend expertise from each of these 3 areas as a fellow and as an entrepreneur, as a future clinician and as a researcher to drive the best deal flow. So companies with strong product market fit, clinical validation, and great commercialization potential. So I'm really excited to introduce to you today one of those companies, Innoblative. So Innoblative Sero device is a first in market device that uses radiofrequency ablation. So that's energy waves to kill early stage breast cancer cells the first time around. So some of you might be asking, what do you mean by first time around? Killing cancer on the first time around, Tazim? Okay, so imagine a single mom, 3 kids, 2 jobs, learns she has stage 2 breast cancer. She actually has 2 options. One is radiation therapy. But that's time consuming. She has to go in every single day for 3 to 7 weeks, which her boss might not approve. So her job stability is threatened. It's also expensive. Payers usually reimburse between $16 and $50K for this, and our mom still has to pay a percentage of that. So that's thousands of dollars. And to top it all off, it actually has a lot of side effects, and there's a small risk of getting cancer. So as a result, 20% of patients never finish or even start radiation therapy. Now, mom's second option is surgery, but 16 to 24% of patients have to be reoperated on because the surgeons can't get the cancer out the first time around. So that's where Innoblative's cancer killing device comes in. Surgeon goes in, does what's called a lumpectomy, so takes the tumor out with surgical tools, and Innoblative's Sero device seamlessly fits into this remaining cavity, this remaining space, to kill any residual tumor that remains. So there are 4 buckets that make this startup, to me, the most compelling investment. 1 is their milestones, 2 is their market opportunity, 3 is their exits, and 4 is their team. So first bucket, milestones. They've already raised $13 million. They have over 40 patents in 17 patent families, an initial FDA 510K clearance and CE mark certification. And their CEO actually has existing relationships with cancer medical device distributors who are on board already to take this to market. Secondly, the market opportunity. So with a unit price of $4 to $5K and COGS of 300, there's an estimated 90% plus margin in a market of $2 billion per year, and that's just for breast cancer. This can actually also be used for abdominal, lung, and other cancers, so that expands the market size by an additional $2 to $3 billion. Thirdly, comparable exits. So comparable exits have actually sold for 150 to 250 million. Mammocyte, which is targeted radiation therapy, was acquired for 160 mil. So that's 10x over revenue, and Sienna for 250 mil, which is 25x over, or sorry, 10x over the 25 million run rate. And finally, their team. So the fourth aspect, and this is kind of the heart of the story here. So Tyler actually went to Feinberg, like me, but he dropped out of Feinberg for like a few years just to run this company. It's his baby. And he then graduated, got his MD, got his MBA, and hired a CEO who has taken multiple med tech ventures to successful exits. And their CEO, VP Regulatory Quality, and CTO all have decades of experience in med tech at big players. So AngioDynamics, Medtronic, Stryker, Boston Scientific. So if you are interested in investing, they're holding a $5 million safe round right now. They've already closed $4 million and they're raising 1.2 more. And there's also another opportunity, their preferred round, so their Series A, if you will, later as well. So now you might be asking, Tazim, they've already raised 13 million. Why are they doing a safe round? So there are three key reasons for that. One, they're completing their manufacturing setup. Two, they're conducting their first in human use studies. And three, just generating initial revenue, so for their go-to-market. If you're interested in learning more, you can reach out to me after this call. I'll drop my contact info in the chat. And if you invest in an earlier stage, I actually have another med tech from this founder. It's a smart neuro device, so you can contact me for that as well. Happy to take any questions. Thanks for your attention.
Love it. Thanks, Tazim. Anybody want to jump in? We do have some time here for any questions. All right. Well, reach out if you want to learn more or interested in connecting with Tazim. Thank you so much. Cool. All right. Next up, we have Grisel here, who's going to pitch us Climastry. Grisel, how you doing?
Good, good.
Awesome. So feel free to start whenever. I'll start the timer and we'll go till around 3:36.
All right, sounds good. So today I'm going to be sharing a bit about Climastry. Climastry is a sustainability management software that rewards decarbonization initiatives taken by discrete manufacturers. The company is launched by an engineer, sustainability expert, and unicorn alum. So before I begin, I just want to provide a brief overview of carbon markets. So a carbon credit is a permit that represents a ton of carbon dioxide that's removed from the atmosphere. Credits can be purchased by a company to offset their carbon dioxide emissions. And credits are most often created through agricultural or forestry practices, although a credit can be made through any project that reduces, destroys, or captures carbon emissions. Companies that seek to offset their greenhouse gas emissions can buy these credits through a middleman or directly through those capturing carbon. And if there is a middleman, the middleman earns a profit via a transaction fee along the way. However, connecting an offset strategy to a business model isn't immediately obvious, and companies struggle connecting net zero initiatives to direct revenue drivers. Today, companies may showcase their sustainability strategies and progress in various formats, but inconsistent and often immaterial metrics create an overabundance of data that lacks reliability and decision usefulness within companies. And at the same time, companies that successfully deploy decarbonization initiatives have no clear path towards selling those offsets and receiving additional compensation from their decarbonization work. Existing net zero solutions are focused on carbon accounting, so calculating GHG emissions and then connecting those through offset marketplaces and then sort of providing a final ESG reporting solution at the end. Occasionally, competitors will provide analytics or have specialized supplier networks, but there's minimal ability to generate a true non-offset net zero strategy, and there's no market leader in manufacturing, with existing solutions targeting large enterprise and less capital-intensive organizations. So this is where Climastry's solution provides sustainability management for manufacturers centered on carbon-based carbon accounting and transaction management. Since 1990, the US industrial sector has decarbonized 13.7%. If these reductions had been assigned to verifiable projects and brought to a carbon market at the current market price of about $95 a ton, these efforts would have been valued at around $21 billion. Currently, manufacturers in the US account for almost a quarter of the country's carbon emissions, and Climastry seeks to assign value to industrial decarbonization projects and bring them to carbon markets so manufacturers can get compensated for their decarbonization work. Their core offering is centered around carbon accounting by project. and then packaging up that into a carbon credit, which is then purchased as an offset. But they also seek to provide wraparound sustainability support from carbon market transaction management, sustainability management, and industry-specific decision support to support companies as they design net zero initiatives, and then also managed ESG disclosures. To date, the company has developed a front-end prototype for functional carbon accounting for industrial manufacturers, and they're running a pilot and building a cohort of 50 manufacturing facilities that's structured as an 8-week engagement to develop a net zero project portfolio, ESG framework, and then for them gain user research on what these entities really need. The pilot participants will also be able to join the digital platform launch, which is scheduled for Q1 2023. And in the long run, they hope that their business model is targeted by facilities, differentiated between small manufacturers, startups, small and medium manufacturers, and enterprise at $30,000 and $70,000 respectively. They also plan to generate fees and revenue from carbon market transaction fees, and also through listing a green supplier database. They estimate their market size to be around $269.1 billion, which is derived from a willingness to pay of manufacturing ESG business services. And the founder and CEO, Jake Stevens, is an industrial engineer that spent 9 years deploying operational and sustainability projects at discrete manufacturing plants. He was an early stakeholder in ESG and sustainability through his role as a climate ambassador for the World Bank, a global shaper for the World Economic Forum, and youth constituent for the UN Climate Change Working Group. This unique position is what allowed him to see this opportunity with non-offset net zero initiatives and inspired him to launch Climastry. I'm interested in this company because they're the market pioneer in assigning a decarbonization value to industrial projects and using it as another revenue source for companies. Extremely strong market founder fit, and beyond his sort of sector expertise, they've spent over a year in sort of the customer discovery journey, and so they're currently raising a $600,000 pre-seed safe, and the funds will be used to transition to tackle this opportunity full-time, build out the Climastry platform, and launch a beta version of the product in 2023. So that's all I have for today. I'll leave my contact info and the CEO's contact info with permission in the chat. I'll take any questions.
Great. Thank you, Grisel. Anybody want to jump in? Questions? We do have some time for that too. Feel free.
The question.
Yep.
Sorry, hi, this is Amit. I'm a principal at Plug and Play Ventures. We make a lot of investments in sustainability and have been for the past few years. My question is around what kind of data are they kind of feeding into or plugging into to kind of assess one, what their carbon footprint looks like and what we're actually capturing? And what does that integration look like too at the project level, which is, it sounds like that's what they do.
Yeah, that would be a great question for the founder. And so what I know is that they're kind of developing some sort of intellectual property management of this. So yeah, that's a great question, which I think they would have the answer for that, but I'm not that deep into the weeds.
Got it. And just so I understand the product then as well, is it meant to be both kind of like acting as like a carbon accounting ERP and a marketplace built into it, or is it?
Yeah, that's
okay. Got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Who are some of the competitors, Grisel? I've seen bits and pieces of this around, like who are the market leaders?
Yeah, there are a lot of people. So there's some called like Sustain.life. There's a lot of people that do just carbon accounting and ESG reporting. But if you look at like anyone who kind of falls under that umbrella, there's probably like 50 sort of competitors, but none are packaging decarbonization efforts into offsets to sell. It's all like connecting to marketplaces.
I see. How many people are at the company?
So right now there is a founder. They recently hired a CTO, and they also have a sort of marketing and UI UX support.
Their IP includes what? How do they have any?
So their IP is around their project-based carbon accounting process.
Got it. Thank you.
Awesome. That's all the time we'll have for Climastry and Grisel, but if you have additional questions, comments, feel free to connect. Love the conversation. Grisel, thank you so much. Cool. All right, up next we have Kat here, who's going to be sharing more about UGen. Kat, how are we doing?
Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, looking great. I'll start the timer and you'll go till 3:44.
Awesome. So hi, everyone. It's great to be here. As an entrepreneur myself, I'm honored to represent Ankit Shah today, founder of UGen. So when Ankit was finishing his doctorate at NASA, he went through the painful experience of trying to take care of his grandfather who suffered from Parkinson's disease. Trips to the local physical therapy clinic and several neurologists were exhausting and didn't provide much progress. So he realized there had to be a more efficient way to track human movements and guide individuals towards improvement. Although he didn't have a medical degree, his PhD in electrical engineering with a background in sensor technology gave him the perfect foundation to develop UGen. 40% of therapists struggle to manage the demand and clinical office work associated with patients. He found out that patient dropout costs the healthcare system over $6 billion per year, and at-home patient compliance has a 60 to 80% failure rate. So it's the inability to drive or coordinate schedules affects the cost and convenience, leading to poor compliance and no accountability for patients. So after completing his PhD at NASA, Ankit decided to bring UGen officially to market. So current PT market alone is projected to grow to $46 billion in the next 2 years. And there's a strong future for the UGen sensors to improve the sports medicine industry as well. So he essentially developed a wearable sensor system about the size of an Apple Watch that can be placed almost anywhere in the body. It tracks range of motion and other critical parameters while guiding you for improvement, counts reps, provides real-time feedback for correctness, and logs your progress in the back end for the provider to see or make adjustments. So the complete platform consists of a wearable sensor set, patient athlete app, and then web dashboard for tracking user progress. So for example, instead of going to 10 PT sessions, patient would go in once, learn the movements, get their sensor covered by Medicare and other payers, and then go home to complete the remainder of their program. You can get new exercises from the device, interact with the PT or trainer via video calls within the app for efficient check-ins, and then they return the device once care is completed. So after obtaining 7 patents and 1 trademark for his sensor system, he partnered with one of the most reputable healthcare systems in the country, Centara Healthcare, to develop a pilot partnership. It was so successful, they now have a 3-year PO with them and with a recurring contract. So the business functions primarily on a SaaS model that applies to health systems, PT clinics, coverage by workers' comp, and is reimbursed by Medicare. UGen has a one-time implementation fee of $200 and a monthly subscription model costing between $75 to $100 on every set. They've launched in 12 clinics in Virginia and counting. They're actively progressing in the demo stages with programs at Johns Hopkins, Nova, Sheltering Arms, and Novant, to name a few. And their current competition includes Hinge, Sword, and Kaya Health. They focus on a workers' comp model and can only serve the musculoskeletal patients. So they'll go to large corporations like Coca-Cola or FedEx to just keep the employees healthy. They then have to be a PT delivery care company with that to have their hundreds of wellness coaches on the payroll, which makes it challenging to get integrated with clinics from a pricing perspective because their units cost $500 to $1,000 per user, and then the clinics would need their own PTs. But in one of UGen's recent launches, a clinic told them that they can see their productivity increase by at least 30%, to give them more time with patients and be less like a typist logging all the necessary data. So I'm happy to share more financial data after the pitch, but they have raised $2 million to date. And in the next 2 years, they're projecting over $5 million in sales with 5,200 plus subscriptions attributed to that SaaS model. The team has a combined experience of over 1 billion in acquisitions and 60 years in healthcare. And the clinical advisory team is extremely impressive, including members from Centara and more. So raising $4.5 million to further invest in inventory, hire additional sales and marketing team members outside their Virginia and DC base right now, and grow their engineering team to scale the healthcare segment and simultaneously tap into sports training. So UGen has made some of the fastest developments with the leading partners of Centara, Johns Hopkins, and more. So please reach out to me, Kat Weaver, or the Chicago Blend team for more info on helping UGen lead the physical movement industry. And if I have a little time left, I swear I don't bite. I'm open to questions. I work with the founder closely, so hopefully I can answer them, or happy to set you up with him as well.
There's definitely time for questions. Kat, thank you so much. Anyone on the call, feel free to jump in.
Someone test me, come on.
So I'm sorry, this is for rehab or is this for training? Like just
So
keeping
there's
fit?
both applications. So they're starting on the physical therapy side, and they're actively launched in 12 clinics, but they're simultaneously having great feedback. They have some great Olympian contacts that they want to tap into the sports training market. So there's dual purpose, but the current focus and market and revenue is coming from the PT side.
Does that cover stroke victims? And
so yes, actually they're working towards stroke, Parkinson's. They're even working towards pediatric patients. There's a lot of different applications with it, because I mean, his grandfather suffered from Parkinson's, but they're working on the neuro side of things, and stroke is one of the aspects that they do want to cover.
interesting. Cool.
Sweet. Kat, thank you so much. Great job.
Awesome. Thank you all.
Cool. All right, we have 2 pitches left. Desmond is here teed up, about to talk to us about LeagueSwype. Desmond, how you doing?
Doing good, Sal. Thanks everyone for being on the call. First, let's go to a time machine and go back to happy times. Let's go back to 2014. Times are so good, in fact, that Happy was #1 on the Billboard charts. Also wearing #1 was Derrick Rose, who's back on the basketball courts in the United Center after 2 seasons of being hurt. We still miss him to this day. But also 2014 was big in sports because 2 sports gaming sites, DraftKings and FanDuel, those still banned in many states, collected over $1 billion in entry fees for daily fantasy sports during the NFL season alone. Now let's fast forward 8 years later, and we know that digital payments are here to stay, with Stripe, Venmo, Zelle, and PayPal controlling over 77% of virtual money management. However, large-scale sport incumbents like ESPN Fantasy and Yahoo Fantasy ignore the market's need for payment infrastructure in terms of risking their reputation. We also have different know your customer and anti-money laundering laws and regulations, which create a huge barrier to entry for new developers to stake a claim in the sizable sports gaming market. And players are throwing a flag on the system. They want a digital wallet for users across gaming platforms to compile all your wins for different leagues. They want safety and security, and most importantly, they want to get paid fast when they win. So enter LeagueSwype, the MVP, or most viable platform, and only digital wallet specifically for competitive gaming. It's a perfect solution for fantasy sports, for sports betting, and esports. It's accepted everywhere you sport. So after creating a bootstrapped web-based platform or pilot in 2020, with over 1,000 signups and 200 users, LeagueSwype averaged about $1,500 a month in transaction volume just with limited advertisement. Especially with much success, including being a finalist for many pitch competitions and exposure in Chicago. And after years of focusing on payments, LeagueSwype, they had to do an internal huddle and call to audible to this approach. And after recent customer interviews, we're dedicated to focus on the backbone of the fantasy sports experience, the commissioner. With nearly 60 million people playing fantasy sports in the US and Canada alone, what makes the league unique is the bet system, which provides connection and competition between friends. So meet Joe, the commissioner of 2 fantasy football leagues. He has to keep track of how many teams did during using fantasy football or Yahoo Sports. He has to look about who paid their dues or payments this week via Excel or Google Sheets. And then he has to communicate with the league via WhatsApp and then Venmo the winners for that week. Now imagine doing that week after week for multiple weeks in multiple leagues. Using LeagueSwype to replace this madness is an easy sell. And as shown through the high fidelity prototype to new customers and new customer feedback, all customers said that they would be willing to pay between $5 to $25 per person per league to help us solve this issue. The two jobs that LeagueSwype is trying to revolutionize is how people are being able to get paid out and getting people or those deadbeats to pay their league dues. So from that feedback, we're excited to announce that LeagueSwype is going to be launching a new prototype to match the NFL season in late August. Now, a little bit more about the MVP team that consists of about 40 years of experience, of combined experience in finance, accounting, and payments, as well as risk. They also have a really great advisory board as well. You have Darius Granberry, who's the founder and CEO, who is full-time and is the former principal and CFO at M2 Asset Management with MBA from Northwestern. Sean Newton, CPO, who's the former product lead for payments at Venmo. Kana Gutan, who is the senior director of marketing at Topco and Walgreens, and Hari Patel, who is their internal CEO, who will be going full-time after their seed round. Their $1.5 million ask for pre-seed will allow the internal CTO to go full-time and help launch a product during the NFL season, while also capitalizing on the payment infrastructure that they already have in place. So you've already heard of LeagueSwype a lot. They've made a lot of noise here in Chicago and won many competitions, but their pivot to focusing on commissioners and the commissioner experience is something that I'm confident in. And of course, their team is confident in, will take them to the next level. I will leave my email and my calendar into the chat, but at this time, I'm really excited to answer any questions.
Love it. Anyone feel free to jump in with questions for Desmond and LeagueSwype. All right. If you want to keep the conversation going, Desmond will put in his email and contact info, way to reach out to him in the chat. Desmond, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cool. All right. We have Louisa here to close us out. Super excited for this. Louisa, how are we doing?
I'm doing well. Can you hear me okay?
You're coming in great. So I'm going to put 6 minutes on the board. I'll pass it to you and we'll go to 3:56. Take it away.
Put my email in the chat because I'm the last person. The company that I am pitching today is called Period, and it's a platform that gives legal access to prisoners who are claiming innocence. And to help you contextualize the impact that this platform could have, I want you to imagine yourself at 16 years old, where your biggest worry might have been what you were going to do with your friends over the weekend. Now, imagine yourself at 16, accused and convicted of a murder that you clearly never committed. You have no motive, there's no physical evidence tying you to the scene. You have friends and family that could testify that you were there with them at the scene at the time of the crime. But based on eyewitness testimony from someone who drove by the crime scene for a few seconds, several weeks after the fact, you receive a sentence of 60 years in prison. Because you know that you're innocent, you fight to overturn the ruling, but the process of finding legal representation and fighting your case involves painstakingly long exchanges of handwritten correspondence, snail mail, carbon copy documentation, and the process of proving your innocence takes an additional 16 years. After spending the entirety of your early adulthood in prison, you're released, and now you're 32 years old. This is a true story of a Chicago teen who was wrongfully convicted of a murder that took place on a street corner while he was at home with his friends and family at a holiday party. His stories is one of the countless stories that inspired Period's development, and he's actually our founder's partner. Now, this story need not be reality. Period seeks to address this issue by bringing the criminal justice system into the 21st century with a tech-enabled platform designed for efficiency and scale. Without Period, the path to exoneration can take many, many years, but with this software, a match that used to take many months to even begin can now be made in a matter of minutes. So in terms of what the software actually does, on the platform, individuals can create a profile similar to the UX of a dating app and be matched with legal entities who seek to represent wrongful conviction cases. And once matched, the legal services and the people seeking those services can use Period as a secured portal to upload documents pertaining to their case that will ultimately hasten the process. And the timing of this process is critical. Studies estimate that about 1 in 20 criminal cases could result in a wrongful conviction. And there's an incentive to avoid this because the federal government provides on average about $50,000 for every single year wasted in prison. And we're talking about decades. And the civil suits that follow exonerations can cost additional tens of millions of dollars in payouts. So there's a great incentive for states and the federal government to invest in making this process faster. The faster that they make it, the fewer taxpayer dollars will be wasted. So Period is in its early stages of development, but the founder, her name's Michelle, she's uniquely positioned to lead this venture. She's a graduate of U Chicago Law. She's a colleague of mine at the Chicago Booth School of Business doing her MBA. She's a senior policy advisor with more than a decade of experience working within the criminal justice system. And Period also has a very strong network of advocates, law schools, and support from other high-profile wrongfully convicted persons, including Yusef Salon. He's one of the famous Central Park Five. And Period has also caught the attention of several potential customers in the market. So as of last week, Period acquired initial informal support for a partnership with American Prison Data Systems, which is one of the country's largest manufacturer of tablets for incarcerated populations in 20 states across the US, as well as the Deputy Director of Corrections in Washington, DC, who has expressed excitement to execute a pilot of the Period platform. So once in the market, Period's going to generate revenue via subscriptions and licensing. Tools in the market like LexisNexis and Westlaw charge $100 per user per month, which is really great, but they're just research tools. They don't interface directly with users in prison. And the partnership with American Prison Data Systems is really exciting because it'll allow the company to white label its platform and license it directly to the tablet manufacturer, putting Period in over 100% prison facilities across 20 states in the US. And Period is seeking a pre-seed round of $250,000 to complete the development of the platform. It already exists a little bit, and to execute that pilot that we have interest for. So I'm really excited about the potential that this company has to create a tangible impact. I got excited because I personally am passionate about social justice, but I stayed excited because the platform is a model for real, actual market-driven social innovation, which is something that doesn't come around all the time. There's a huge need for what the company is building. The market's already asking for this solution, so I'd love to connect with you if you want to learn more about how you can invest in the early stages of this transformative solution. Thank you so much.
We do have some time for questions, if anybody wants to jump in quickly.
Sorry, Louisa, who's the customer?
It'll be legal services entities. So those are like criminal justice, legal services entities that represent like, what do you call like civil suits. Also the American Prison Data Systems, they're a manufacturer that manufactures tablets that go into prisons, and they're also interested in being like a B2B type customer. So we would white label the platform, and it would go into the tablets that are going into the prison populations.
Got it.
And it would be all free to people that are actually utilizing the platform who are in prison. Like they wouldn't pay for anything.
Awesome. If there's more questions, if you want to connect with Louisa, she already put her email in the chat. Feel free to reach out. Louisa, this was awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Cool. So here we are, everyone. You just heard 8 amazing pitches from some awesome fellows that we got to work with this summer. Hopefully this can add to your deal flow. Hopefully you can reach out, connect, learn more about the fellows, their background, the startups they're talking to. This was just like an amazing experience this summer getting to work with them. We had amazing speakers, amazing work, amazing mentors that were happening. And if you were one of those and you're on this call, honestly, thank you so much. And yeah, thank you for this amazing day. Please reach out, get connected with the fellows. And I'm looking forward to hearing how the conversations go. Last thing I will say is that if anybody successfully gets a deal from this conversation, or any fellows make a deal happen with any Chicago VCs, Chicago Blend will actually award a finder's fee for that fellow. So please take these conversations, take these meetings. We're happy to award some money for these fellows and their awesome work. So thank you so much and for an awesome day. And yeah, we'll be staying in touch.